What happened in the 3 days between Jesus' death and his resurrection? Where did he go, and what did he do during that time? It is finished. The four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, all recount the crucifixion, describing how Jesus hung on the cross for about 6 hours before taking his final breath. During those agonizing hours, he endured immense suffering for the sake of humanity. At that moment, he uttered the powerful words, "It is finished," as recorded in John 19 verse 30. This was not a cry of defeat, but a declaration of victory, signaling the completion of his mission on earth. Then he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. His lifeless body remained on the cross only briefly before being carefully taken down by Joseph of Arimathea, who, with the help of Nicodemus, prepared Jesus' body for burial according to Jewish customs. They laid him in a new tomb, sealed with a stone, and all hope seemed lost. However, 3 days later, in an extraordinary act of divine power, Jesus' body and spirit were miraculously reunited, and he rose from the dead, overcoming death once and for all. This event, the resurrection, is the cornerstone of the Christian faith. After his resurrection, he appeared to his disciples, beginning with Mary Magdalene, who had come to the tomb early in the morning. He revealed himself to others, proving that he had conquered death. Then, as promised, he ascended into heaven, returning to the Father to prepare a place for those who would follow him. But countless believers have wondered, what exactly happened during those 3 days between his death and resurrection? Where did Jesus go, and what did he do during this period? These questions have intrigued theologians and followers of Christ for centuries. In this episode, we'll dive into these questions and explore possible answers, looking into what the Bible and various Christian traditions suggest about this mysterious time. The Bible, especially in the Synoptic Gospels, doesn't provide a detailed account of Jesus' activities during those 3 days, often referred to as the harrowing of hell or the descent into hell. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John primarily focus on the events surrounding Jesus' crucifixion, death, and resurrection. So, much of what we understand about this period is based on theological interpretations and traditions rather than clear, direct narratives from the Bible. It's important to acknowledge that, while the Gospels are silent on the specifics of those days, we do have other clues that help paint a picture of what occurred. Still, we can gain some insight into this critical period. One of the clearest clues about where Jesus was during those 3 days comes from a conversation he had on the cross. According to the Bible, Jesus was crucified alongside 2 thieves. One of them, in a moment of faith, asked Jesus to remember him when he entered his kingdom, Luke 23 verse 42. In this powerful exchange, Jesus replied, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." This statement suggests that after his death, Jesus went to paradise, or heaven, a place of perfect peace and eternal rest. This response from Jesus shows that, even in his final moments, he extended grace and mercy, assuring the repentant thief that he would join him in eternal bliss. It fits, as in his final moments, Jesus committed his spirit into God's hands, a place of pure bliss and eternal love. The promise of being with Jesus in paradise reveals that Jesus' death was not a mere end, but a beginning for those who believe. However, there is another intriguing reference to Jesus' whereabouts in 1 Peter 3 verses 18 to 20, which offers a deeper insight into his actions during these 3 days. The passage reads, "For Christ also suffered once for sins, the righteous for the unrighteous, to bring you to God. He was put to death in the body but made alive in the spirit. After being made alive, he went and made proclamation to the imprisoned spirits, to those who were disobedient long ago when God waited patiently in the days of Noah while the ark was being built. In it, only a few people, 8 in all, were saved through water." This passage offers a vivid picture of what Jesus might have been doing in the time between his death and resurrection. It suggests that, after his death and before his resurrection, Jesus descended to a realm where he encountered spirits who were imprisoned. These spirits, according to this passage, were disobedient during the time of Noah. This passage can be interpreted in two ways. First, it could suggest that sometime between his death and resurrection, Jesus descended into hell or Hades and made a proclamation to the spirits imprisoned there. These spirits could represent several possibilities. They might be demonic beings, human souls, or fallen angels, those who defied God's law, led astray by Lucifer in his rebellion. The reference to Noah's flood hints that these violations took place long before Noah's time. The spirits may have been those who had not repented and remained in captivity. Although the passage does not reveal exactly what Jesus said to these imprisoned spirits, it's unlikely that his message was one of redemption, as Hebrews 2 verse 16 clarifies that angels cannot be saved. It's more probable that Jesus proclaimed his victory over Satan and his forces, showing that his sacrifice had defeated death and the power of evil. In this interpretation, Jesus' descent into hell was a triumphant announcement of his victory over sin, death, and Satan, declaring that he had fulfilled his mission and would soon rise victorious. Another passage offering insight into Jesus' actions during the 3 days between his death and resurrection is found in Ephesians 4 verses 8 to 10, which states, "This is why it says, when he ascended on high, he took many captives and gave gifts to his people." What does he ascended mean except that he also descended to the lower earthly regions? He who descended is the very one who ascended higher than all the heavens in order to fill the whole universe. Referencing Psalm 68 verse 18, Paul suggests that when Jesus ascended, he took many captives. This is understood to mean that after securing salvation through his sacrifice, Jesus gathered all the redeemed souls who were in paradise and led them to their permanent home in heaven. These were figures of faith such as Abraham, David, Joshua, Daniel, Lazarus, the repentant thief on the cross, and countless others who had been justified by their faith, whom Jesus led from Hades, the realm of the dead, to their new spiritual home in heaven. This interpretation paints a picture of Jesus as a triumphant king, gathering those who had faithfully awaited redemption and leading them to their eternal home with him in heaven. Another interpretation of Ephesians 4 is that during the 3 days between his death and resurrection, Jesus not only triumphed over death, but also defeated and bound our spiritual enemies, the devil, death, and the curse of sin. After securing this victory, he ascended on high, returning to heaven as the victorious God. This view is supported by Matthew 12 verse 40, which says, "For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of a huge fish, so the Son of Man will be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth." Jesus' victory was not just spiritual but cosmic, signifying his authority over all things, including death and evil. Finally, it's essential to recognize that the Bible doesn't provide a detailed description of what transpired during those 3 days. Different Christian traditions offer various interpretations of this time. Nevertheless, we can take comfort in Jesus' own words, "Today you will be with me in paradise." This assures us that after his victory over death, Jesus went to paradise to complete his work of redemption. This promise remains a source of hope and assurance for believers, knowing that Jesus' sacrifice has secured eternal life for all who trust in him. Thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What do you believe happened during those 3 days? Let's explore together. Please support us by subscribing, liking, and sharing this video. God bless you.